Okay, folks, welcome back to Friday Live, FM BetterForms monthly meetup. Thanks everybody for coming out today. This week we got a pretty informal meetup today. We have Bruno Pelletier. He's our newest addition to the team, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things and projects that he'll be involved with. And he's going to be chiming in a little later on there. I want to mention a couple conferences. We try to promote our community related stuff. The first event coming up is Vienna Calling. If you haven't been to this, this is the spin-off or the continuation of .fmp. .fmp was a conference that ran for about 11, I think, or so years in Berlin, and it stopped. Egbert, who was running it, is no longer continuing to run that event. So the good folks at 42 Solutions in Vienna, Austria, have taken over that, and they kept up a lot of the same fashion. So one of the things that makes this conference unique is that it's very hands-on-y, technical, organized on the fly type of thing, similar to Pause on Air. In fact, .fmp was, I think, originally started as a European version of Pause on Air. So if you get a chance to go to that, it's a great city, um, super clean. Um, and the conference talks or the content is really good as well. For the second year running now, we have Elevate FM. Elevate FM is going to be held in our home city, Toronto. So that's coming up June 4th and 5th. We're a sponsor of that event, and we'll see you get a chance to meet pretty much the whole team there. So hope you get a chance to attend that. It's going to be for 2 days this year. Last year was only 1 day, and it was a fun time, but this one will be hopefully even better. And of course, we have also another Canadian event is CQDF. This is Quebec's, I should say, Quebec's conference. That is coming up in June. I don't actually have the dates on here, and this says 2024, but this conference runs every 2 years. It's primarily in French. There are a few English sessions, and it caters primarily to the French community there. So it's a really good conference. Great bunch of developers. If you get a chance to come out and attend that as well. Uh, Hassan, I'm not sure how we are for updates.
Yeah, this month for updates, most of it has been a lot of bug fixes that you'll notice throughout the app. In terms of major features, those are going to be coming up next month. Other things you'll notice are AI related changes where the prompting should be a lot better now and the tool calling. Yeah, this month, the main thing to look out for is a lot of bug fixes.
Excellent. I'm going to actually demonstrate one. We are pushing out one. I wouldn't say it's an enhancement more than a feature in a drag and drop editor, and I'm going to show you how that works actually, maybe we'll do it right now. One of the um, one of the new updates here, just a second, if I can find my right window. All right. So we've made a couple changes or significant changes. Michael, who was a primary developer who worked on the drag and drop interface, has rewritten basically the drag and drop routine from scratch. We originally used a third-party library called Sortable for that and a couple other augmentations to that, our own spin-off of that. But we've rewritten that from scratch now, and the performance or the functionality, the feature, the way it works is quite a bit different. In the past, and let me see if I can pull up, I'm going to pull up something else here for just a second. So this is what's in production, and I'm going to show you what's coming up in development. So this is production right now. So right now, when you go to drag things, the physical object underneath, you can see it moving there, and it shifts out of the way. And sometimes that's really good, right, when it shifts. But there's an inherent problem or challenge when with drag and drop interfaces, and this is not just in BetterForms, it's virtually in any software, is when something shifts, the thing underneath your mouse has physically moved. So that means there's a state change of the definition of when it should move or not should move. So you can get this oscillation effect. And sometimes, I don't know if I can get it here, but sometimes you'll get an oscillation. We've tried to minimize them, but you can see things move around in here. And that's not too bad, but it does make it a little bit tricky to determine where to place things. So you'll see drag and drop interfaces sort of in two flavors. One of them is this flavor here, where when you drag something, the stuff moves. And now in our new editor, we've changed the behavior of that. So I'm going to grab one of these cards here, and I'm going to move the card. And you can see now we have a target location of where this is going to be placed. Right. And we feel that's a lot easier to navigate exactly. Now I know I want it inside here in this group or in the parent group, or maybe I want it in between here. It looks like that's all one big block and so on. So that gives a little bit better feel and a lot more precision as to where you're dragging and dropping the item. Right. So I'll just drop it there. Or if I move the card randomly into a weird spot like up here, now I've moved the card all the way up there. So it does determine automatically if it's vertically or horizontally aligned and where that item is supposed to be. You can always still grab items over on the sidebar here, and you can drag and drop in here in the same fashion as we've always been able to as well. So that's going to be released probably in the next deployment. It's right now it's behind a feature request flag, but it will be launched. We're just making sure there's not too many issues or bugs or anything like that, but most likely in the next deploy, which is be over the next few weeks. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions about that, but or your thoughts. All right, we'll leave it at that then.
I'll say that it looks super intuitive, and that's an excellent change.
Oh, thank you. You don't get the oscillations. That's the big thing, right? Before you sometimes you get these weird jitters. I'm going to flip things over to Pearson, who's our UX designer, and he's going to talk about variables, I believe.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, so today I have a short little UX corner session. This is going to be about Figma and a technique that I'm learning for myself a little bit, but it's I think useful to know if anybody is out there designing on Figma. Um, and I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So something that I've come across when I'm making these designs is obviously I want to create responsive designs so that everything that needs to be seen can be seen, no matter what size of screen you're working on. So what Figma has introduced, and it's not actually that new, it's just not something that I have ever needed to look into. I think this was introduced maybe last year or a couple of years ago. They're called variables. And so what variables do is that it allows you to attach a um, what they call a variable to a property. So these variables, they can come in the form of a Boolean. Um, Let me just move some stuff around. You can have a Boolean variable. You can make one of a color, a number, or a string. And so what this is doing is you're attaching this value to a property on your component or on your element, and it can change dynamically based on some other factors. So in this case, what I'm showing here, these are some variables that I've set up. This is very rudimentary. This was like my first attempt at understanding and using variables. What I'm doing here is I made these variables with the intention of improving this responsive design. So I have a modal, which you can see here. One of the is a classic select a plan, and this is on like a relatively regular size screen, 1440 pixels wide. This would be like maybe a bigger laptop or like a monitor, and it has room to fit all of these things. But what happens if I'm on a medium screen or a small screen? This would shrink and it'll cut off my modal, and now you can't even see as the user. You're going to be missing out on some important content. So how am I going to how can I design this differently? Now, in the past, I might just like I have I have this component. And these are the same components, but I might just have this component and then I'll make another one that has two columns and then I'll make another one that has just one column. And I might have three different components for one modal just at different sizes. What I've done here is I've created one modal that has three different states. I have a small state, a medium state, and a large state. And so here you can see on a small screen, I have my one column turned on. If it's a large screen, I have my four columns turned on, and this is the four column version. So what I can do now, and this isn't necessarily going to help with like I'm not moving this size up and down and it's changing dynamically that way because it's not a live site. It doesn't need to do that. But what it allows me to do is for my own sake and for the developer's sake, just to keep things organized or for me to switch things out quickly and see how different screen sizes might affect the work. I can select this frame. This is representing the screen and I can change the values here because I've created these variables and I've set this as a large screen. So this means that this is representing something over 1440 pixels wide or more. And so when I have it on large, I have my four column modal appear. When I select medium, now it goes down to my two column design, all pulled from this same component. What I've done is technically I have all three states um, built in this component, but I have just a couple frames hidden. So in here, it's showing just my one column state. This would be for a small screen. So when you're on a small screen, and I'll bring it down, what did I say small was? 950. Um, actually, no, I think I can do this. So here, I'll do it this way. On my frame, I have it set to large, and I've set it on my own to 1440 pixels wide. I can change this. I can make it go up and down and whatever. Nothing really changes, but I can attach the variable to the width of my screen. So I'm clicking here. I select width. I want this width property to pull from my variable. So if I do that, now it's set to 1440 because I'm on a large screen. But as I go to medium, it's going to set itself to 1299 like that because this property is directly linked to this uh to this to this variable. So I have it there, and as I was explaining, everything exists in this component. I just have them hidden, and that's what the Booleans are for. It's showing only show this column. This is my single column uh, mode. I have it set to I've labeled it one column, but I have my two column up here and I have my four column up here. So this is just my way of dynamically hiding and showing the different states. Um, and yeah, that's how I'm using it. I'm not sure. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out what the most optimal way to use this is. But it's nice to just be able to select a frame and say, uh, just at a very rudimentary, simple level, here's how does it look on a small screen? How does it look on a big screen? Um, yeah, how does it look on a big screen like that? And there are many other ways that you can use variables, and that's what I'm still trying to explore. So I went into the Figma community and I looked at what other examples exist where people are using variables and how are they using them. And I know one way is by creating variables for your dark mode or your light mode colors. So what this person has done is they have these colors. So they have a color called base, a color called text, a color called CTA, and these are all being represented by these colors. So if I select this item here, um, the background color is white, but they have it set to the variable called base. And so in this variable, we're on the light mode frame. So it's selecting, so the value is white. But if I go to the dark mode frame, that same value of base is now this dark color. And so here we can see the rest of the colors haven't really changed. The only ones that are different are the base and the text. They've just kind of flipped inversely. But I think I can edit this. If I wanted to say, well, the CTA, the call to action button colors, they're a little hard to see with the contrast of the dark text. So what might I want to do? I could say, what would actually look better? If I change this. Um, because I'm using this from the community. For some reason, I guess I can't edit this, but I might be able to, in my mind, what I want to do is I just want to change the color of this dark mode CTA color. I would maybe change this to like just to a lighter purple. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I can do that right now. But that's just one other example of how you can use these variables. If I copy this over, they have the same kind of selector here where I can choose from light mode to dark mode, and it just changes all of those properties on its own. I found one more example, and this was uh, a lot more complicated. Like they did a lot more work with their variables. So they actually have different, I think Figma calls them collections, and they have a collection called theme, but they have all of these groups within this variable collection. So they have the different, I think these are background colors, text colors, foreground colors, border colors, all these different dynamic changes. I think they're all based on, okay, no, they have some um some number values as well. And some spacing values. So if I using these variables, I can select a frame like this, and I have these a couple different options that I can choose from. So on this theme, I have it on light theme. I can choose dark, and same thing. It changes all those colors dynamically. I think there was one where I could change the curvature of the corners, and I think it's this one. Yeah, they called it the feel. How do we want it to feel? I want it to feel edgy, so I select this, and you can see the edges and the corners. They all change because I'll show
Oh, I
them
see.
again.
All across all the elements. That's
Yeah.
actually a useful one, I think, because
Yeah,
that almost controls the whole theme at that point, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's that's what the point is. Like they themselves they labeled it as theme. This is what the
Right.
vibe is going to be. So I have minimal, I have extra round, and so that increases the curve, makes these buttons round, um,
Maybe
and
even weight or something like that, I guess you could
you
possibly do.
yeah, I'm sure you could do that.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways to use this, and so with the corners, what they've done is they've attached the corner radius to a variable where this changes from 6 pixel curve to a 8 pixel to a 12 pixel, depending on um, the different settings that you've changed for that for this theme. But yeah, you can get really in depth with it. I haven't got that far yet, but I thought that it was a really interesting and useful tool if you are a heavy Figma designer. Like if you're using that quite a bit. I'm not sure if that falls if any of us fall into that category, but for anybody who's curious or anybody who might have some designers on their team and they want to have that extra level of communication with them, this is a good thing to maybe just be aware of um, and check out for yourself if you're ever interested. The Figma community, there's all sorts of different files and that you can explore and see what other people are creating out there. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Next, we're going to flip it over to Linsha. She is one of our team, sorry, our full stack developers here. And she's just going to demo just I believe, a quick recent app that we helped put together for CQDF.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Okay. I'm gonna share this app a little bit walk through what with the whole app, and I will focus on the upload and preview components using the AWS S3 bucket. So this app is for conference for general user who wants either to be a speaker or sponsor, and they can edit their speaker profile or propose their sessions, speaker profile sessions, and become a sponsor. Sorry. So this app is using dual language. So I can change, user can change to French and English. This is use our BFI 18 keys. Okay, let's focus on the documents. So this one is using all of those three are using AWS 3 buckets, and we are using a component to upload a document. Let me share. So this one is uploaded to the S3 bucket. It's pretty easy, very quick. I will show the code later. I can just replace this one with another logo. This one. Yeah, pretty quick, or just remove it. So let's see my code here. So in this components page, I have one called API file uploader, which you just see that one is for file uploading. This HTML key is holding the styling or any keys, language keys here, showing you show the spinner and everything else of this. And we have several attributes like allow multiple files or file types. I didn't input anything, but I will show you the configuration later. And some like style classes for the drop zone classes. Max file size or number of the files we can upload, and also the name of the upload or the model, which is generated, which is the AWS URL we just upload the document for, and all functions here. They are all pre-built. If you want to use these components from our public library, you do not need to change anything of this. For the on-file select or on-mount, you do not need to change anything of them. Or it's a very long action script. And the other one is the API file preview our actions. You see that one with the preview of the documents and the replace or the replace button and remove button. Also, most of them, you do not need to change anything with the replace or removed action. They are all pre-built with along with the file IP uploader, so every keys they are matched. Okay, let's see the configuration. So you see this way we call instance ID that is for each upload zone or each preview zone. This one is for banner. This one is for logo high resolution, and this one is for just a normal logo. So we need to I just talk about this one is the model, which is the URL we generate and put the URL to this model for just for logo, or this one is called the name actions we're using. And also I think the most of the configuration you will see it more in the in this JSON schema. So you see we have the like idle icon, instance ID. Let's see. Yeah, this one. The types you are allowed the user to upload. So everything here is for the configuration. Let's see. And also the target of the drop zone, like enable of the drop zone. We can just disable if you do not need the drop zone. And yeah, that's all. Let's see one more. File, upload a file. For this one, we'll go to see this one. Okay. Yeah, the file is uploaded as an object in the model. We have the ID documents, file name, file type, size, extension, and also the URL.
Cool.
Okay. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Linsha. I just want to mention a couple things here because let me just switch back to my screen for a quick sec here. This example, the reason why it's relevant is a couple months ago we launched a pretty significant feature that probably didn't get its airtime enough, and that is the ability for custom components to have their own self-contained code. So that means you can take a custom component, which is what she showed earlier, and you can pop it onto a page. So here's just a page here. This is a page within that same app. And this is just like the design system of the app there.
Can you show the screen?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
What a fool. Okay. There we go. Sorry, guys. Thanks for piping up there. All right. So this is just a page. And over here we had the components for this app, and two of the components, this file uploader component, is fully self-contained. Now, in the past, when you want to connect something to, say, S3, it's a pretty complex process. You have to get a pre-signed URL from your backend system, or you can use our file proxy, which will generate one that's short-lived. You have to have your own bucket, or you can push it into FileMaker if you want, but we'll assume that we're going to go with the bucket option here. And just configuring AWS bucket is actually probably the hardest part now. So what happens now is you literally grab where is it here? Uppy file uploader. I grab this upload component. I'm going to place it here, and that is it. The item here will be placed in the model, in your data model. That's your data for your page at they place, in this case, under an array called specified files. If I want to convert this to, where is it here? Drop zone target classes, enable drop zone. Let's just change this. And I can change my entire configuration for all of my settings here. So basically in one place, if I want to use multiple instances, I can use multiple files here and label them, license, passport, and so on. I can turn them into drop zone areas where I can just drag and drop. It's fully configurable, zero code that you have to write to configure to do that. And it will connect to your AWS bucket based on your pre-signed URL, or optionally, I'm not sure if we use this one here. If you use a BF file proxy, you can turn this on to true, and then it'll use our internal proxy and dump you a URL that you can do an insert from URL into FileMaker. So it makes it almost a no-brainer now to upload files, which was a bit of a challenge in the past because you had to import a bunch of code from an example, which wasn't the greatest experience. So that's something that's new. And there's a number, check out if you haven't already. Every now and then we're adding some new components. We're going to be releasing community components as well soon. And I think we've added a couple other new things on here as well. But there's also some templates in here if you want to create your own components. The docs are pretty complete there, and the AI is pretty good at generating the entire component for you, even just from a remote document as well. All right, so that is components and documents. I want to talk about something just to circle back, just kind of threw this in here. Circle back to another feature that we launched probably about 3 months ago, 2 months ago, something like that as well. And it's our Figma plugin. And I want to show you a quick demo of it in action. And I'm going to be honest with you, we built this and we built it for the community, but we sort of have our own workflow, so we never really used it. So the other day, just 2 days ago, Hassan and I were in a call and we said, why don't we use a Figma plugin to create this modal? It's like, oh yeah, we have that, right? So we're working on changing some of the subscription areas in BetterForms. And this was one of the modals that we would show when a user downgrades. Because when we downgrade, we don't want it to be a destructive experience or anything like that. We want you to be able to roll back or change if you've chosen something wrongly. So what will that experience look like? And we ended up with this modal. This is one of the modals. There's quite a few modals in here of what that. This is the one that Pearson was looking at earlier on, and um, what that experience will look like. So I'm going to go back to this modal here for a second here. So now to create this modal, if you had to build this in BetterForms, it's kind of a pain. And you can certainly just take a screenshot and I can paste that into the AI and say make the modal, and it'll be pretty close. But it'll be an inference from the visual aspect, right? But our Figma plugin, which is free, so I'm just going to pull that open here, will build the BetterForms element based on the actual numbers or the stats, the spacings and the fonts and the weights and everything that are in the actual component here. And I'm just going to do this here quick on the side. There we go. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to move this window over to, let's go over to, do I have a, I'm just going to pull up an example here. So I want to show you how I go about creating this modal. Okay, so over in BetterForms here in my demo account, I've created two pages here. I've created a modal demo parent page, which is just a very simple page, and it has card modal on it. It has open card modal. I just used AI to create this, but open card modal, show card modal, action here, and in my show card modal, AI just created this show card modal, and it created an action to open the card modal. Right, so that's it. The navigational slug, where is that? Is my modal. That's the page that it's going to actually open. And I've also gone through here and I've created an empty page called my modal. And it's just literally, you can see that it's got one group in here and that's it. Totally empty. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to my Figma plugin here. And I am going to select our card modal. And I'm going to say send to BetterForms. And you can see it's popped over into the app now. And now it's in the process of conversion, right? So what's happening now is we use a kind of a hybrid system. If you're interested in learning more about this and building this kind of functionality into something else, by all means, let us know. We'll throw it into a workshop. But in summary, since this data in Figma is pretty structured, and it's structured a little bit like HTML, but it's not by any means, it's more JSON. Um, we do a hybrid system where we do most of the conversion, the tree aspect, if you will, is done in JavaScript. So it's pretty complex, has lots of edge cases and things like that. But the stuff that needs to take intelligent decision, like for example, sometimes the designer, and I don't think Pearson's done it here, but let me just try. This is an object here, and he might have taken this object and he might have put white in this as a fill. But the card also has a fill of white. And when you're building this in the web, you usually want to put this one as a fill of blank and the backmost object would be white. So in this particular case, we use some AI to look through all of the structure and we convert that and we try to reduce those simplifications. There's a number of different rules. And with a hybrid structure, we take the JavaScript will go through the whole object and it says, hey, I'm not sure about these items. Here's another ambiguous one. Here's another, and it actually lists them all out in an array for the AI to process that array later on and to make the intelligent decisions. So that's kind of how it works in behind the scenes. It takes about a minute or two to convert a component. And it's still component converting now. So we'll just give it a second here. You can also select smaller elements as well. Maybe I just wanted this table here, or just even just a card. There it goes. It's converted now. So let's jump back over to here. I drag my component on, and I have my card modal. It's not quite ready to be a full modal yet. We're going to make a couple small changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reduce, because I brought over the wrapper and the rounded corners and everything. So I'm actually going to take this, which has a fixed width of 800 pixels. I'm just going to delete that. I see some padding in here, so I'm going to select in this outer, right there, select this outer element, this outer group, and I'm going to get rid of that padding there. So now my modal's a little tighter to the space, and we'll do a couple of little small cleanup things. We have a background white we'll keep because that's part of the color. We'll get rid of this rounded here, and I think we're good to go there. That is our modal there. Now, remember, when you're designing this kind of stuff, you usually make it to the size of the wrapper, and then you let the wrapper decide the size of the actual element, right? So we wouldn't have fixed widths in here, and that's why you can see that it's here. It's not fully responsive. We could have the AI turn that in to see what it would look like on a mobile screen, but that's fine for now for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to save this. Let's jump back to our parent page here. And Command B for preview, which is the same as in FileMaker. There's my preview page. Let's make sure we got a fresh version here. All right, open card modal, and kaboom, we got a modal. It is that easy. These are all actual real BetterForms buttons, so they're super easy to wire up, and you can wire them up to your actions. You'll notice the conversion here. The conversion, of course, can't wire this stuff up. But it does create the buttons, and now you can just use some AI to wire that up, or just wire it up manually, because it's probably just as easy. All right, there's kind of a fine line there. And of course, you could make any changes that you want now too. And if you want to mess it totally up and break things, you can. For our actual use case, this is data driven, this table. So we told it told the AI first create a set of data, how this data should look. For me, that gives me, now I can go back to the database and say, I need data that looks like this. And then secondly, convert this into an HTML table and include all the icons, and it ends up looking identical, but it's data driven at that point. So each one of these is a row of data. And in this particular case, this would show, this would show all the attributes that you're possibly over your account limit in. If you might be just one of them or two of them or three of them or so on. Any questions about Figma plugins and creating modals?
Does it create the vector icon for you?
Pardon me?
Does the plugin create the icon if it's a custom vector?
Yes. If you have an SVG icon, we've included that as well. So let me just jump back to the plugin here quick. And if you have an SVG icon, you can, and it's under, I think we say, 30K. If it's under 30K, it'll convert automatically. If it's over 30K, it'll get stripped. So this will remove not just the greater than 30 ones. So it won't create any SVGs over 30K, which you shouldn't really be having anything that big, crufty on that page. Instead, throw that in as an asset, upload it to your files, and then just reference it is much easier. But otherwise, it'll convert the entire thing. So if you have custom icons there, it by default will use Font Awesome 6 and 7 for the font set. So as long as you've incorporated that into your Figma, I believe, like if I go to here, I don't know, somehow in Figma you can see is it here? Somehow you can see the icon. See, this is Font Awesome 7. It's a solid. It's a red 500. And then if I jump over to here, it's one element here, but if I open this up, you'll see that it's the same thing. Right, Font Awesome, where are you here? Yeah, right here, Font Awesome solid exclamation triangle, and then the color. We found it's been pretty good for fidelity. Let us know if you have any challenges with it or anything like that, and we can tune them out. We haven't gotten a ton of feedback, but like most of the things we introduce, the adaptation is kind of slow. It's not right away. I want to mention one other thing while I got the screen here. is we have some updates, and one of the updates is going to be pretty significant. It's you won't see it unfortunately, but I'll tell you about it. And let's go. What are we in here? And I'll just show you, give you an idea here. So one of the things we've changed is, well, we've changed quite a few things, but the major one that I want to feature here is grid test. This one here is we've added or given the ability for the AI to access any other aspect outside of what you're working on now. So we have, settings, components, scripts, navigation, and styling, and this will be released in the next release here. So here I have a page, and let's have a look at the page. And it has this, it has a date on the top and this little header here. And I want to change how that looks. I want to maybe change this to put the date on the left, and there's this funky radiant thing on the background. Maybe I want to change this to blue or something like that. I can now do that from here. And you say, well, why would I want to do this from here? So I want to say change the header slot BG color to blue, fading to black from left to right. And actually just leave it like that. All right. So you say, well, why would I want to change it to here? And it's not that you would normally design something from this position that you can't see. But the AI wants to design things for that. So for example, I can say change the navigational slug on this page, right? Change my sidebar navigation to navigate to this page now. Those types of questions or those types of commands that you can do. One of the things you'll also see coming out, and this is not available here right now yet, but you'll see a little fewer tool calling. Sometimes it's a little bit generous with the tool calling, and that's just a dialing a knob setting that we need to dial back a little bit. So now it's upgrading the header slot gradient from blue to black. And you notice I'd have to go into slots, figure out where it is, right, to make that kind of a change. Give it a sec, it should be done soon. All right, and it's just done. My AI has a little bit more verbosity here. I'm just going to save my page. Oops. But the significance here is we've made two major changes into the architecture. We've given the AI the ability to access all the different things, like what navigational slug is this, change the styling, change the CSS, can change anything in the site right from here, or from anywhere for that matter. And the second one we changed as well is we have a number of developers who have built really complex, a lot of JavaScript, a lot of HTML on their pages. And if you're overseas, if you're in Europe, our main server is located in North America, so you're sending maybe a megabyte on a save, and that takes some time. So what we've done is we've already did this 2 months ago to the site areas, but we've changed the way the save routine works, and now it uses deltas or it uses diffs. So it takes the thing that you've changed, and it's only sending that for the change. And then we also use that for the collaboration. So if you have multiple tabs open and make a change there, that'll change as well. So that whole cycle will be significantly quicker for the saves. So they'll last maybe 2 or 3 seconds now instead of 5 or 6 seconds for these large pages. And the updates will happen a little quicker within the app as well. So, and I'm not sure. This will probably be fine as soon as I try it again. So we'll have to see what's going on there. All right, I want to introduce everybody to Bruno. Bruno's the newest developer with our team, and we figured it would be a good chance for all of us all to get to know each other. We'll hang out, talk about code, see what kinds of things he's been working on. He's got a few interesting things, I believe, to share and to show. So, Bruno, welcome.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, I could share I can share my screen and maybe show like a little bit of what I'm working on right now. It's just a little FileMaker project, Funsy, that I think is just a useful addition when you're working in FileMaker a lot. I built something to just like speed up my workflow a little bit, and that's what I'm going to be showing today.
Bruno, where are you located?
I'm in Quebec, in Canada.
Quebec, Canada.
Yeah,
Right on.
yeah. Sorry, I went quick on the introduction over there. All right. Um, so I'll try to make this easy to follow. Basically, for anybody who worked in FileMaker and with like AI jumping in, I don't think this technique is any new. A lot of people have been doing this, and if you're not doing this right now, maybe you'll learn something new. But basically, the concept is to be able to use AI to build your FileMaker code and just help you kind of modify some details of what you're working on. So I'm just going to start with like a basic FileMaker file here with just a random script to kind of show you what I'm talking about in the script workspace. So we can just take whatever script that already exists, maybe something that's has a little bit less comment. Okay, this one. So in FileMaker, the way that, like, if you want to use AI right now, there are a few things that you can do. You can do it through some base element functions if you want to kind of be able to copy and bring this over to like ChatGPT or over to like some other AI if you have Claude or whatever you use. And there are also some AppleScript functions that you can run. You can do it through a plugin called MBS, but they all require some kind of manual input to be done, and the result of like what you get is not always great. So basically, you'd select whatever code you want to do. You'd run your script either in base element, MBS, or in my case here, this is what I started for on an Apple script, and then you'd go to like a Chat GPT, or you'd go to an IDE for code, and you'd be able to paste over the actual code that's behind the script workspace. And then you can use an AI prompt to say, well, let's modify this. And then you can take it, bring it back over to your script workspace, run again either the command based on an MBS, and paste it back into your app. So that workflow is pretty cool. It's actually kind of a good step, I think, in the right direction if you're working with FileMaker a lot. But I got tired of like opening those scripts. I got tired of using like other functions to do this. So what I ended up doing is just pulling the SDK plugin thing from Claris and adding buttons at the top of my screen in the script workspace where you can just hit the copy and it would just like bring over the code, and you can bring it back with the exact same way the Apple script or the base element function would do. You'd just be able to do them. I have some trouble with the page this morning, so okay, good. And you'd be able to bring them back. So this is something that I started working on just to kind of speed up the workflow. And it really helps depending on the AI that you use. It can really kind of build and make your script a little better. And the next cool part of this is now that I'm able to add buttons, I'm able to also add functions. And I started working on kind of a chat that's integrated directly within the script workspace, where you'd be able to kind of select, let's say, whatever code in there, you'd be able to grab it, bring it over there. Right now it's running on a local model, so it's not as fast, and you'd be able to either ask or modify the code directly. Because since I'm able to do copy and paste, I'm kind of able to automate those steps doing an AI prompt, so I can say, what did this code snippet about? I would prompt that. It would go to my AI. So right now it's running on a local machine. So my machine it's doing its thing, and it's gonna take a few seconds, but it's gonna come back with either an answer or here like some errors. So yeah, I do have problems with comments for whatever reason. So if you do a lot of comments, it might not work. So I'm going to take that and start again, and do what is this about. I'll do it again, and we'll see what it does. So those are debugging logs that I have right now, but you get kind of a summary of what the code is all about. And you can do it the other way around as well. You can say, well, build me a script. It's very small right now because it's local, but you could do build me a script to set a variable to 1, and you'd send that over. And now the AI would code, and I'm going to get an XML formatted code that I can put inside the script workspace, just using those two copy and paste function, because the code behind FileMaker, it's all XML. This also applied to other part of FileMaker, and I'll show you kind of a technique as well that can speed up some of the layout works that you do when you're working with some conditions. I'll show that when this is done. And before waiting too long, I'm just going to go in my project and just check if I can see the log over here. Yeah, okay. Supposed to get something back. So now I'm going to get a code from the AI that I can apply to my script, or that I can just copy, and it's going to be my variable set to 1, and it can integrate it wherever you're clicking, and it's going to give you feedback. So this is kind of a cool feature I'm working on. It's far from being something that works perfectly, but the concept is pretty much just taking over the use of using MBS or base element or the Apple script and just building like in native. It's C++, I believe, what the SDK uses, and it kind of just add those functionality to FileMaker directly, and then you can just freely use that to insert and modify the code directly. So that's one thing. For now, it's just in the script workspace because I've never done C++ before this, and adding button to FileMaker is kind of a nightmare. So I'm going to give props to the guy who builds MBS for doing whatever he's doing, because this is amazing. And I'll show you something else that you can use the Apple script. I'm going to open them back because they're kind of close.
So Bruno, just before you go on there, just a couple quick questions.
Yeah, sure.
So you've just to summarize, you've built a plugin using the using Claris's or FileMaker's development kit, and the plugin has added the buttons when you add the buttons.
Yes.
And it's added these, and that's the challenging part you're saying with what the buttons are doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, just putting them at the right place on the interface. And
sandbox? I'm just curious, how sandboxed is the plugin? Because I remember years ago looking at the plugin, and then I never did. I had some ideas that I wanted to do, but I got sidetracked. Do you know how sandboxed it is? Could we make it live?
On Mac, you can do pretty much what you want. On Windows, you don't have much control over like the Windows. You'd have to kind of create kind of a side application.
Right.
But on Mac, I'm using a lot of I'm using AI to create AI, which is the beauty of where we are today. You can change everything, as long as it kind of fit the language to connect to the app.
Right.
You can do whatever, because the minute the example I'm going to give you is from the script workspace. The minute I open this window, it's no longer FileMaker. It's purely C++. There is nothing related to FileMaker over there. The only part actually that I'm using that's related to FileMaker is grabbing the script workspace window, trying to figure out where the middle is, and dumping those icons over there. The rest of it, I'm leveraging like the Mac OS clipboard. So when you do a copy paste of anything, it goes, even if you do a copy over here in the back, like the content of the script is in your clipboard. So I'm just converting that to that XML directly with these functions. And when I'm doing a paste, actually the paste button is even something that you don't really need if the code is okay. Because if the code is okay, you can just Command V inside your script workspace, and it's just going to convert automatically to FileMaker.
Yeah, because on the clipboard.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you can do anything. You can do literally anything. If you want to modify the behavior of FileMaker or add functions to FileMaker, or like modify like the layout, just pretty much like MBS does, this is much more complicated because you have to kind of know the name of the element, and you're working with more constraints. So For example, at the beginning, I was trying to just put like the local assistant URL in the preference panel inside the plugin. When you go to, whoops, I clicked out and I have this super zoom bar now. And when you go here and you go to settings and like in this section, if you do configure, I was trying to kind of do that window over there, and it was impossible to get control of the window properly. It was never opening at the right place. It was behind something else. The buttons were showing up on the login screen. The FileMaker was crashing. So I just decided to go, you know what? I'm going to pretend FileMaker is just not there. I don't really care anyway. I just wanted to get whatever you're copying, whatever you're selecting, I grab and I do. So I would say it's pretty open. It's pretty up to you to figure out whatever you want to do.
Because I know I've talked to Christian Schmitz before in the past several times about stuff like this. You know where the capabilities, and he's mentioned the same thing. It's like, yeah, you have just certain limitations, Windows versus PC, or sorry, Mac versus PC. But I think in a perfect world is the plugin needs to see all of your I mean, truly perfect world, it needs to see everything in FileMaker, right? And if it's an external appliance that connects through the plugin, the external appliance can use the data API, the OData gateway, to access. Now you got full access to your schema, you got full access to your scripts. You're probably missing custom functions.
Yeah, this is what I started kind of working on. It's like I said, it's far from done, but the goal is, since you're in there, you're supposed to be able to like run those execute SQL command to gather table, gather the fields, gather the field metadata,
yeah.
and do it. But right now, I have a problem with the SQL. It's probably like either running at the wrong place or misformatted. But it's a learning as I go process. But the concept is just, it's there, and I do have access to certain functions, and I have functions that I had to integrate in there to kind of make the plugin loads and kind of be accepted by FileMaker in the bundle. But for the rest, I think the less you care about FileMaker, the better it is for the plugin.
Yeah, I agree with that. Abstract out FileMaker and use FileMaker as the paper that you're writing to, but don't try to make your pen out of the paper.
Yes. So that's the concept, and right now what I want to try to do is to kind of bring it over to layout, because layouts works it's exactly the same. So if you were to do a copy for a layout, and you do and you run this converter right now, it's integrated into my copy button in the script workspace, and I were to dump it there, layouts are much heavier. But especially if you don't use styles, everything is just dumped over there. So it also kind of gives you an idea of like how heavy it is. But if I were to go back to FileMaker, let's say, and I want to modify the conditional formatting of something, or you have like 50 elements that have the same IDWEN condition. Well, you could search for that condition and you could modify it and bring it back to FileMaker, and it will save you a lot of time. So if I were to just look for that color right now, I think no, not color. Color is a bad example because they're not X, they're RGB. But I'll take this condition, let's say. So I'm going to search for due date, and I'll replace it by whatever else I have in this table, just as an example. You could look for this, you'd have the field, and you can do a replace all and say, well, you're going to use this field instead, and then replace all. It would update the code. You do this. You will run your script to convert it back to a FileMaker. I probably destroyed something over there. I did it yesterday with an I condition, but you kind of get the idea. For layouts, it's much heavier. It's much more difficult. But I did it for I condition where we changed the key where we were evaluating it, and it was a printing layout. So I had about 50 elements, and I just brought it to my IDE. I did I think it was 22 elements. I replaced the name of the field, and it worked. So it just opens up kind of your eyes at what you could do potentially with this. And so yeah, that's what I'm working on, trying to just like add some cool quick feature to the FileMaker interface to make it easier, and also make it like bring AI to FileMaker when you work as a developer, and not just bring it with like the semantic functions and all those things that you can use with your actual information, but help you build faster and better. So that's what I got.
Bruno,
I'm curious with our community here. I'm finding the most painful part of my programming days is what maybe we can crop this out is using FileMaker, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean I can automate so many other things. I can use AI for almost everything I do.
Mhm.
Um, but and my brain has slowly been releasing or outsourcing all deep code related things, and now I think
Yeah.
very high level architectural related things. And one of the things that I've been doing, and this is something that everybody can do, everybody in our community can do right away. Um, and then once Bruno releases this as a product that'll save some time, is I'll just show you quick what I've been doing along the same
Yeah.
lines there. Um,
I'll stop sharing. I'll let you
sure,
share.
just I'll just go quick here.
Yeah.
Back in. So I had to work on FileMaker's save. Sorry, BetterForms saving of just a sec here. Open folder here. To do there. All right. BetterForms saving in some scripts, three scripts, and it does these differential scripts and differential saves, and it's pretty complex, right? It's probably one of the more, I would say it's in the top 5% of the complexity of things that I've coded in FileMaker. And so what I did is I copied, use the MBS plugin again. I copied, if you're using FileMaker, you can just copy the script. There's a copy text button, but if you copy the scripts, and thanks to Matt Navarro pointed this out, I didn't know he added this in. Um, so since then, this is what I've been doing. Copy and I pasted three files. These are my three scripts. There's a parent wrapper script, two subscripts. Doesn't matter really what they do, but one saves the page, one saves the site. And then now I can riff back and forth with my AI and I can say, okay, code review this. How am I missing the arguments? And it probably pointed out 20 or 30. Now, this was painful fixing them all, fixing all the things because AI tends to push all of your stuff. So I have a hint in my AI file in Cursor here to just give me one thing at a time because I'm not too smart. And I fixed one little item at a time. It asked me the questions. I fixed it. I fixed it. I fixed it. I pasted it in. Now, this is three really complex scripts. Pasted them in, and they worked right away. That's pretty freaking cool because it meant I did not need to use my debugger in FileMaker at all. And this is something that you can't really appreciate what it looks like here, but something in FileMaker, it's really complex nested loops that are doing these JSON manipulations and remapping map keys and from an array and all kinds of things like that. I wouldn't say it's above my pay grade, but I'm certainly not making enough money for it to be in my pay grade kind of thing. So this is a great use case that everybody can do right away to outsource their FileMaker coding along the same lines. Just going back to your plugin, and I don't know if anybody has any questions about that because it's super
Yep.
cool. I see there's a couple things that sort of come to mind there that I see. Like scripts aren't too bad because the scripts are typically of finite length, right? You're
Yep.
not going to get a script that's, well, some people, but you're not going to get a script that's 1,000 lines long, right? It's going to be 100, 200 lines, maybe max. And after that, you should be refactoring probably anyway. But layouts, on the other hand, can be massive. Like you said, there's so much metadata that's in there with
Yeah.
from styling to everything, and some of it could even be cruft. So I think you end up with some context rot in there because you blow out the context window of your LLM. But one of the things you could probably do, and I'm not sure if you've looked at this yet, but something that you can do is you pop the text into a file effectively or a variable. And then you give a tool for the LLM to read chunks of it, just like Cursor does. Read these lines, and then it'll jump back and forth with the lines or read various levels of depth of those keys. And you can write some code that'll prune out all of the unwanted bloat and keep the real core concepts. Like for a layout, it's what the object is, where it is. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And then if it needs to know the styling, it can go and look at the styling later on. But 90% of it doesn't need to. There might be some strategies there. What gave you the, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, finish. I thought that you had
No,
finished.
no. I'm going to keep talking if you don't interrupt. So go ahead.
No, what LLM are you using locally?
For this one, I'm running with Olama, and this one is a small model. It's a Quen 2.57B. It's just a small model I'm running locally right now. I tried with a 20B, but it was too heavy for nothing.
So it's
So it's
Llama
yeah, Llama with the model is Quen 2.5 Instruct.
Is
It's a
there a reason
7B
why you're
model.
running it locally and not taking advantage of bigger models?
Just like I like to test locally. I like to play with
Sure.
AI locally. So just to learn what can I tell them and kind of constrain them to do. And if I can make it decent locally, I know I have something that I can play with other models, and then I can try it with. But sometimes for GPT, I feel like it starts too strong and it loses its edge when I try to do small things like this. And locally, I can see the prompt. I can control everything much easier. So it's just like a work kind of step, I would say.
Right.
And another question that I have, I don't know if anyone is using it, the patch tool. Have you thought of using the patch tool to fix the file?
Oh, I've never thought of that.
Because actually in August I think that I've seen Soliant was presenting how they use it, and I don't know if maybe I will check now if the presentation of the patch tool was quite interesting. They are maybe at 60% of capability of changing the code of FileMaker with the patch tools. And
Has anybody used the patch tool in the community? Has anybody used it for anything real?
at the moment, as far as I know, only Soliant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. My only concern with that, you still have to take your file offline, right? Like I know you save on the data migration, so you got a, multi-gigabyte file. That's probably a big savings there. But it almost feels like I might want to just migrate every now and then just to get a fresh copy. That's what it kind of feels like. I don't think it would be good. The patch tool, though, would be good for development because it might be good for comparing if you wanted to make a diff thing that looks at two different files or something. But for developing, you want to have quick iteration cycles. You want to be able to make a change. Let me test it out. Let me make another change. I want to move this over here. You want that loop to be short, and the patch tool is going to be very slow.
that is the I have I have the a screenshot. Can I share a screenshot with the in some way on the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Let me see. That is the let me see. So are all the things that are working on the patch tool. We are working in August, I think July. Let me see if I manage to.
While you're pulling that up, Giancarlo, Bruno, what are your long-term plans for your plugin?
I don't know if I can make something that works really well. Probably push it and bring it to the community. I think that would be the goal. If I can make something that works. For now, I think it's too early on. It helps me when I work. It speeds up my work for sure. But I think it needs a little bit more attention to make it perfect, and have the copy paste available all over the place. That's not too bad now that it converts the code properly. But I think the AI assistant part could be nice, but at the same time, maybe just having the function copy paste would be cool too. But they're already available at some other place. I just wanted quick access to them. I did not know they were in MBS until this week when we talked. So
Yeah. I just found out about it like a month ago or something.
yeah.
In the slide that I've sent you, that was the Soliant presentation. There is the link also. If you, I don't know who is sharing the screen, can open it, and those are all the elements that are working. The green ones are they manage to change account, and they don't manage to change authorization. But everything that is bring it's Soliant Consulting August 2025. It's an excellent presentation. There is the link there at the end of the Okay. I think that it was quite a cool presentation.
So I think this is a great, I think it's great because it gives us incremental changes and the ability for FileMaker as code, as text, I should say. So that's good because now you can commit it, you can roll it back easy. As well, maybe not roll back from data. Cool.
So maybe because I suppose that maybe the patch tool is, especially when you deal with layout, maybe it does some checks because you can broke everything, maybe doing something bad. It's easier with scripts, but with layout, I wouldn't do it. Maybe it's check. I don't know. I never tried it. That is just it was the Soliant presentation, very cool, 1 hour, and there is I think that there is something that you can join to try their tools.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're working on that, you should check it out.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll do it. I've heard about it. I know it's still not officially supported by Claris for certain things.
Now it's officially by
Now
Claris.
it's officially supported. Yeah. Okay.
So it's 1 hour. I think it's worth have a look to that. 1 hour of presentation, excellent. Okay.
Cool. Bruno, when you're developing, what is your kind of workflow when you got to create something brand new? That's kind of a vague question, but like, do you go about a certain strategy or?
For this kind of stuff, no. I just go in because this is when it's a big project, it's different. I make a structure, but usually when I make internal tools like this, I just go rough and try, and then as long as I get kind of a basic step in, I'm good. I like to have a good vision of what I'm trying to do before I start, and I do a little bit of research of like what's the best thing to do. So, for example, at the beginning, I had the Apple script; they work fine. This is something that was developed by the community years back, and I was like, I just want an easy way to put them in. I thought about like having the Mac shortcuts and whatnot, and it felt too complicated and non-performant. So I was like, you know what? Plugin seems like a good idea. MBS added buttons to some places. It shouldn't be that hard. And I just tried. That's it. It's boring for that. Unfortunately, I had no plan other than I just need to have the functions run and have quick access to copy paste. For this, that's what it was.
I remember
For the rest, flowcharts. For rest, flowcharts. Yeah.
I'm just amazed that we haven't seen anybody in the community doing anything for along this line. Is Jeroen in the call? So yeah, 2 years ago, 2 years. I think Jeroen has been 2 years, maybe 2 years GPTs.
Yes.
2 years ago, you created a GPT, and around the same time, we were playing with the same thing of taking the XML, putting it on the clipboard, feeding it in, letting FileMaker do its, or sorry, a model do its thing, and then returning it back. Right? I think it's probably close to 2 years now. Is that right? But
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
and still nothing from Claris.
Nothing from Claris.
It's not their focus, right? So their focus, I think,
But
is
the thing
really
is, the whole friggin' world is moving, man. It's got to be their focus. Like,
yeah.
the world is changing, whether you like it or not, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they released some new AI stuff, but it's always targeted at the information of the database and kind of trying to automate certain things. But for developers, and like other people can maybe tell me wrong on this, but from a developers and partners perspective, I think that's not their primary focus because people create tools outside of FileMaker to do these kinds of things all the time. So they'd be spending time and somebody else going to do it better than them afterwards. So
I think it's good if you have a company that encourages its community to.
Yeah, agreed.
Right? But you also have to give us some stuff to hack. And although FileMaker developers are pretty hacky in the sense that we solve problems, well, for years, for the first 18 versions, or let's say 15 versions, 16 versions of FileMaker, you had to be very creative to do certain things. right? Like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I wrote a mechanism, or 12 years ago, something like that. Pretty complex mechanism to update a web viewer, to talk to the web viewer. And then it wasn't until what, 18 or something like that, that we got FMP perform script or perform JavaScript, whatever the command is, right? But we had to be really creative back then. And we're having to be less and less hacky now to do things. Like, you don't, you have things like button bars, and you still, there's lots of creativity that every conference has, 50% of the talks are somebody doing something nifty. But I still think, from Claris's point of perspective, there needs to be, like, our community, and first of all, our community in general doesn't really venture too far out. There's a few people that venture out from FileMaker, but the majority of them stay very tight to FileMaker. This is where their business is. They're quite content, almost complacent maybe. And I think for the ones who do venture out, those are the ones that will drop off the platform first if they don't do something to make it to remain competitive. But anyway, sorry, that was a rant. What would you let me just ask this as well, because I see that you're developing in a few different platforms, and you had mentioned that you do some Python stuff as well.
Yep.
What are some of the types of things that you use, say, Python for?
Almost everything now. I use it for everything. Web scraping. I do it for like API. That's the first thing that I do now when I do backend for web application. Python's it's my go-to. Some of that, it's just so stable, so easy to deploy, so easy to code compared to some other languages that I've came across. So I cannot speak to everything because I do not know everything. But I started in PHP and Laravel. That's the first backend experience that I had, and then the second one was Python. And when I discovered it, I was amazed. But I feel like you can do everything with it and do it well. And it's popular language, and if you use AI, like I think most developers do nowadays, it's efficient. You can find what you need really quickly. You can build tools to automate, to parse information, to connect to whatever you want, to sort information, and like there's just like probably all languages can do that in the back end. Like, as I said, I don't know, but Python is just my go-to. Whenever I think of an idea, I'm like, you know what, I want to automate a workflow. I start there all the time. And there's another project I'm working on for AI using, again, my local model for FileMaker. Is they released recently their MCP, well, recently, a year and something ago, the MCP server that's running online. And it's not something that I like. Because it's online, it depends on the cloud. And I just using Python and Gradio, which is a package that Python has. I built one locally that connects via the data API, and it does the exact same thing again. And I don't know, it's easier to get in, easy to deploy, and I think it's a fun language to learn as well. So it's always my go-to when I think of something and I don't know where to start. Yeah.
Does anybody in the meetup here, have you guys used Claris's or FileMaker's MCP? We haven't had. Well,
I
we've
have
actually.
a little. I haven't deployed anything, but I played with it some.
Oh yeah. I use it actually connecting to Cursor.
Oh, you managed to make it work? I never managed to make it work.
Yeah,
it always crashed for me.
It's some tables. It's not consistent across all the tables. There's, I don't know. There's some peculiarities, and maybe I got to update something. I don't know. But I generally, when we're writing the prompts for our AI assistant, some of the prompts are fairly deep, and they have to have good knowledge of how BetterForms works under the hood, like proprietary-ish kind of knowledge. And as such, some of the prompts we have a copy of the prompt in Cursor, and I use the MCP to say, hey, update my database with those prompts. And that's about all I use it for personally.
Yeah.
I know, Matt, you had said on your podcast, you had mentioned that you didn't feel that there are great use cases let's say custom reports and custom data. Is that maybe I might be saying this incorrectly.
The basic thing I think about it is that it's not really useful for someone who does FileMaker development because it doesn't allow you to reach out from FileMaker, and it doesn't really allow you to connect FileMaker systems from one to the other. So it's much more useful if you have some other thing that you want to reach into FileMaker. And I'm like trying to think of anything I need for that or anything my customers need from that. It's not really a lot. But if you have some other application that you want to connect to FileMaker in a much more meaningful way than you can do with other tools we have now, like an API call directly into it, then that would be great, I think.
I have something I could share. Sorry, Charlie. I could share like quick my screen again, and I can show the quick MCP because we're on the topic, and I think it's kind of something that maybe is going to appeal to some people. So basically, it's just a web page, but it's the exact same concept. It connects to my database over here. Automatically, what it does is you have a system discovery. It's gonna pull all the layout, all the script in the system, and you can select like which layout you want to grant access to. It used only the data API. I didn't use the OData yet. I didn't read much about it, so I'm not familiar with it. I know it
automatically
has some
uses both, actually.
Well, not mine. Well, the one from Claris, yeah, but this is one I coded locally, so yeah, no. So I'm not familiar with it, but yeah, it's something that I need to do. So you have what you do is you create a script at like the top get tool list, and you just put some of like what the functions do. You can call script to do like specific task, like a regular MCP, and the more like actual coded tool you have, the better it is. Or you can select layout, save, and reboot it. It's going to figure out some tools based on what you ask. But you can ask things like embed for me, that's what I coded. Mail log table. And then again, for me, it's using a local model. And I have a script that you can see them run in the back. So like it ran a script on my FileMaker server to embed, and I can say, what was the last mail log error about? And because it did an embed of like all the records, and I have a function that can get last email error coded, it's going to figure out that tool and does it. And in my case, like the FileMaker server is sitting at the exact same place. Like it's all in my office, so it's all local. And I think this has much more potential than having to use something that's hosted online, because you can rely on, you already have an AI server on the FileMaker server to do some task. It cannot do the MCP because you cannot load that type of model, but you can run Olema again on your machine. You can create your functions, and because I'm running Python, the kind of bridge that you can do with the MCP server that Claris has, I can do with that. I can make this thing talk to anything I want. I can make it do whatever I want, because I can code some stuff in FileMaker, but also code some stuff in Python and create some hard-coded tools in there to say, when you get this, you can run this and this and that. So that's something I'm working on, because I attended like the presentation. I read over it. I tried to use it, and I was unlucky. It never worked for me. With the database that I try to use it for the proof of concept that I wanted to build. So I was like, there must be some ways to build this locally. How does that work? And then again, you fall back on Python, and you can find some stuff, and you realize that I feel like I have, again, more option doing it on my own than trying to use what Claris has built. So this is another example of local AI tool that I'm working on.
Have you tried the proof chat thing? Because it has an MCP server built in too. I haven't played with it.
Yeah, but I think you need to have I don't have an OpenAI project key, so you need that, I think, to kind of test it. I looked at it. It looks cool.
Actually, it supports a few different other platforms now.
Oh, okay.
But come on, man, it's time. Get an OpenAI project key.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Spend $10.
I do. That's the thing. I pay the OpenAI subscription because I use it for other things. But yeah, definitely.
When I teach my classes, I'll have 20 people in the room, and I'll give them my key so they can play with it. So they
can try.
And then I turn it off after a couple of days, so no one costs me much.
Yeah, look at proof chat is cool.
can chime in with MCP calls, so and cost of keys. You have to watch because some companies have enabled an MCP on their, they basically threw it in front of their existing API, right? They vibe coded out an MCP server. Great. They exposed every endpoint in their API. So suddenly you get 73 functions or 73 tools showing up and tons of data. Well, all of that data has to get processed when the MCP makes a call. So since the tools aren't designed intentionally to minimize the data and let the LLM query deeper into the data and pull it out, they just fire hose it out. You end up with a huge amount of data usage. We use Teamwork internally for our project management, and we saw, hey, we got an MCP server, great. Now we can go and get some stuff out of Teamwork that we need, some deep analytics that we can't normally get out of the application, which was a great use case, right? External reaching in. Then we found out that in one day we're blowing $30 to $50 in API in AI use. That is a crazy amount. We don't use that. We use like across our whole network with, an average of 25, 50, 40 users logged in at any time. We're only using like $5, $3 a day, right? Suddenly we got 10x that for one person, which is insane. So not every MCP server is designed very well. If you are going to build something, build it at least to be byte conscious or token conscious.
Mhm. Well, that's the danger of exposing all the tables and all the script. So and that's why they encourage creating your own tools,
Yeah.
because it's going to be as smart as you make it. And if you think it's just going to be automatically smart, it can do so many things. But this is a sample file, the one I was showing. And if I take like all 40 layouts and all 25 scripts, when I look at my local AI, the MCP generated about 155 tools. So if I prompt right now, I prompt a question locally and it replies instantly because I disabled so many things. But if I don't and I ask a question, it's just going to go nuts. It's going to do something stupid, not understand half of what I'm saying, and it's going to load forever. So yeah, it's really important, I think, to kind of constrain. So that's why I like local mode for that. I'll give it a shot to GPT. I think I need to put the $10. But local AI, if you can make it run fast on a local AI, I think you're in the right direction. That's just my way of thinking with it before I pay for what.
I didn't understand, Matt. What were you suggesting to use to try, Matt?
Proof guys with part of their auto, they have an MCP.
Yeah, Proofcase has a free tool. Well, they also have a paid
Proof
tier.
Chat.
Yeah, Proof Chat. It's great. It's really, it's definitely worth downloading, playing with, picking apart, trying for different things. It has.
It's part of Otto or what?
Pardon?
It's inside Otto. It's inside Otto. Or
no, it's a separate part.
It can. There's a layer that you can connect to Otto. I haven't actually tried this, but the AI calls can either be made kind of directly through the app, or you can actually send the request to Otto through their, kind of a system, and it has way more tools and more speed somehow. I haven't played with that part of it yet, but.
But Matt, why is your MCP for FileMaker not working then? Because it is working pretty nicely actually, yeah? If you set it up. Or
mine doesn't read certain tables. I don't know why. Like
Charles, I know why.
Yeah,
you have to have a table occurrence that has an identical name to the base table.
We're back to that. Really? Is that what it is? Because I don't design stuff with table occurrences and quite often, right? Like it's very little. There's no UI, so there's very little stuff in my apps.
It might be why it's crashing for me too. I can't get it to load. I connect to the server, I see it in the log, and then crash and boom.
Yeah, I know why that happens too. Probably. Do you have to turn on filter databases so that the user has to enter their password first? If it just lists all the files publicly, it'll only try to touch the first file because it doesn't ask you for the file.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's so many stupid things about it. And also, am I wrong? There's no way to add scripts or tables later after you create the connection. You have to start completely over.
Yeah. There's no edit. Like, what the hell? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
no, exactly. So I'd rather spend time learning more stuff. And I feel like it's a the way that I described it to the person like who required the proof of concept is like it's a big step forward and a huge step backward. It's like I can't justify it. I'm like
progress.
Yeah, it'll come along, I think. I mean,
for sure.
There's no doubt there, and it does feel solid, sort of, but it doesn't have that ability, like Jason said, you can't edit anything, which is kind of. I couldn't believe that the table occurrence is that's why.
Well, I mean, when I actually can put it into production, I think from what I've been playing with, I don't think I would expose anything except for scripts, which gives me all the control of the data. It gives me all the control over how much I can send back. I can say, hey, you did a query for all this stuff, but before I'm going to give it back to you, I'm going to see how much data I'm going to give you.
It seems to me that if you're only exposing scripts, that the free auto FMS version is far superior.
That's actually pretty likely anyway. And I would bet you also that the free, the proof chat MCP tool that they have built into that is also probably considerably better. We as vendors can move much more quickly than Claris can.
And Apple can? We can move a lot more freely. A lot more freely than the
I don't know about you guys, but I have at least 10,000 attorneys that check every single thing that I do before I do anything.
Yeah. I just put it into ChatGPT.
Which is like having 10,000 attorneys.
So just going back to those tools, and instead of exposing all tables, totally agree. You should never be exposing. That's no different than an API, right? Everybody gets all excited about the data API when it first came out in 17, I think it was, or whatever. And it's like, you can't really use that for your general public because you don't want to expose everything in your database. You want to expose just a very limited thing. So really it comes down to having tools. I think quite a few users in our group here actually use the BetterForms API, which is just a generic API that runs a script. And that's really super powerful and flexible. But if you are going to build an MCP tool, you can build the tool such that it becomes token conscious or conscientious, and it can allow the LLM to explore. For example, I'll just show you, just to give you a quick idea here. Here is a tool here, and let me see if I can. I can't really focus on in this area here, but this is a tool that BetterForms has internally, and it's called UI read schema. So it's a very generic tool, and it reads schema somewhere in the system. It's a front end tool, so it runs in the browser, but it doesn't really matter there. And what we do here is it basically gives a path, a JSON path to what it wants to read. And then you specify a whole bunch of parameters. And the LLM does this. Like, do you want to just get the keys? So now you can get the shape of the JSON, but not the data. That becomes small, right? You can control the maximum depth, the maximum items, the path that it's doing, the general area that it's looking. This is a user message, so it doesn't matter. And even if you want to exclude certain fields, HTML fields, for example, in our case, are really big. So maybe you don't want to pull back all the HTML. I want to see everything else. So now the LLM can make a decision. I'm looking for a certain piece of text that's probably displayed on the screen. Okay, well, that's going to be in HTML. So let me just, maybe I'll exclude all the other fields and it can find just the stuff. So by doing stuff like that, you can make these really powerful tools that tend to be economical and fast and performant for the LLM to do. And they're pretty easy. You can just get AI to help you write it as well. Also, if you don't want to expose so many tools and swamp your LLM and having tool decision making, you can do something kind of like this idea here. Let me see if I can find it here. Just a sec. You can here. This one's called list records, which is really we lamented quite a bit over the name here, but records seems to be the one that LLM understands the best. And this is just returning an attribute of data, some type of data. And it can return, in this case, it can return pages, components, file assets, those kinds of things. But again, it's one tool now that can fetch a bunch of different things and just a parameter or an argument, and the LLM can make the argument choice really easily rather than having three separate tools. And then you're not swamping your LLM with tools. So Anyhow, let's see. What else are we doing for time? We're not doing too bad here. We got a few more minutes. Anybody have any other questions or tips or anything like that? Coding with AI?
Just a curiosity, I did a prompt for ChatGPT that normally worked for me very well. And my impression is that the 5.2 for FileMaker is worst. Not as good as the previous one. And actually, Marco told me try to put the same prompt in Gemini, how you pronounce it. And actually, it was my first time. It was yesterday, and actually, the same prompt in Gemini was working, and and that is a curiosity that for me was very scary because just the same prompt, identical, working on Gemini, not on ChatGPT.
We find some similar things. Right now, the model that we use in BetterForms, we actually just added a feature into. Let me see if I can pull it up. We just added a feature just now that will be released shortly into BetterForms, and basically, do this so we can see, is this guy down here. So now you can actually select the model. We will arbitrarily pick the model based on your context of what you're going to be doing. So if I'm just writing JSON, we can do a fast, quick model and you don't want to have to wait. But right now, what's in production is, as of today, it switched last night, is GPT 5.2 Codex. And that one's been pretty good. 5.1 Codex and Mini and 5.2 Codex have been pretty good so far. But we do find the same thing. Certain models just, there's some little nuances. You have to either adjust the prompts or anything, dial it in a little bit more specifically. And that can be a bit of a challenge. All right. I think what we'll do, we're going to hang out afterwards here, but I think what we'll do, is jump off to our draw, and we'll wrap things up. Thanks everybody for coming out, and we'll see you next month. And I think, Matt, are you coming out next month?
That is the plan, yes.
Okay, good, awesome, man. Thanks. We're looking forward to it. I'm really excited about that. All right.
I'll have lots of little small AI things to show, all pretty much FileMaker, no BetterForms magic. But yeah,
we allow FileMaker on here. You know that, right?
Yeah,
like
that's good.
We're not anti-FileMaker.
I'm doing a series of free classes every week. I'm doing a class on a small AI integration subject. So go to navar.training and sign up for some.
Quick win type things?
Yeah, they're all quick win things. And then I'm sort of trying to shift my business to sell blocks of time. Like you basically would hire me for $1,000. I'll sit down with you, take a look at your database, and find some places where we can take AI and put it actually into production during that 5-hour period. So they're all quick win things. They're all really useful. So it's not just doing something for the sake of doing it. And I've got lots of tools in my box of things that are easy to copy and paste and put in. Some of them are more powerful, like analyze a project and be able to have a query conversation with it. Some of them are really much better ways to do searches for multilingual or different language names. Yeah, almost all of them involve a couple different types of AI to do something, because I think it's when you connect a couple different things together is when the magic happens. Just using something like the semantic search feature doesn't really do it. But if you add a couple of other tools around it, then it becomes super powerful. And I think a lot of this stuff would probably connect to BetterForms too, because there's so much reliance on FileMaker scripting to get data.
If it's a search in FileMaker or doing something in FileMaker, there's chances are you're doing the same thing from the web as well. Yeah. Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. How did they get a hold of you?
Matt at navar.training. Should I rebrand? I also own navar.ai. It just seems like it's a little too much.
Yeah, we've been working on a rebrand for, I don't know, a few years now.
Yeah, you should do that.
Actually, yeah, I know.
Delphs.ai.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Charles GPT.